beautiful winter's day in the forests. The perfect chance for a picnic, Swedish style. Welcome to the craziest rally challenge on Earth. Freezing temperatures, snowdrifts, narrow forest roads, slippery ice. And yet this is one of the fastest events in the World Rally Championship. It's the best and worst of everything. This is rally driving heaven and hell. But despite a bad start to the season, one top team is coming here brimming with confidence. In their workshops in Oxfordshire, England, the men and women of the Subaru World Rally team are rebuilding their cars and their hopes. At the first rally of the season, in Monte Carlo, the team launched a new €600,000 World Rally car in a bid for championship glory this year. But star driver Petter Solberg was forced to retire at the end of the first day with engine failure.
Very disappointed, I was looking forward to this rally just to get some points and so we can start on pushing very hard for Sweden rally.
Now the team had just 1 week to fix the problem and rebuild the car in time for Sweden. But team boss David Lapworth specialises in looking on the bright side.
You can't let a disappointing start to the season get on top of it. I mean, a zero in any rally is the same. It doesn't matter. When you add the points up at the end of the year, it doesn't matter what order they came in.
David's got another 15 rallies to prove his point, but first he's got to fix that car. So how do you fix a major design flaw with a rally car in just 1 week? Well, it helps if you have the facilities of one of Britain's largest and most successful motorsports companies at your disposal. ProDrive has been running the Subaru World Rally team for 17 years, with David Lapworth at the helm. David's boys can redesign, build and test almost any component in a fraction of the time it would take a manufacturer.
It's like comparing the SAS with the regular army. We have to cut a few corners because we're in competition with somebody down the road. And if we waited until we'd been through a 3-year development cycle, somebody up at Ford or across at Citroën would have introduced their new car a year earlier and we'd be too slow.
David's crack troops are used to reacting fast. While he was still in Monte Carlo, they swung into action and already have a new part ready for inspection.
The problem, as it manifested itself on the rally, was a tiny hairline crack here in the end tank, which is where the oil was leaking from. So we've made some new parts. We've made a new end tank that goes on the end of the oil cooler there, which is machined from solid, is in better material and thicker material, and it's reinforced inside. That should eliminate the risk that in the same circumstances that we would have the same failure.
Job done? Things are rarely that straightforward in motorsport. David's been called into an emergency meeting with his chief designer, Ed Wood, who has bad news.
An internal rib as well.
It seems they fixed the wrong component.
Inside the tank we've introduced a rib across the...
Ed now thinks the real cause of the problem was in the pump that circulates the oil around the whole system.
We took it at face value and thought, oh, we've got a problem with the oil cooler design, so we fixed the oil cooler design. We didn't spot that actually it was an effect, not a cause.
Now they've got a real challenge. Just 1 day to design, test, build and install some brand new oil pump valves. Petter's car may be worth over €600,000, but it was just one of these €1 valves that brought him to a standstill. Amazingly, less than 12 hours later, the new valves are ready and installed. So far, David's optimism has been vindicated. His army's back on the move. Now there's just the small matter of relaunching their season with a repeat of last year's victory in Sweden. The Swedish Rally takes place in the forests and frozen farmlands in the south of the country. Based around the town of Hagfors, the three-day event includes 19 time stages totalling 349 competitive kilometres. These narrow tracks covered in snow and ice have long, straight sections, combining almost zero grip with breathtakingly fast speeds. The drivers must also complete 1,100 kilometres of road sections between the stages and the service park just outside Hagfors. But before you can start doing that, you need to do a lot of this.
Minus half long, tightens a little bit and then opens.
On a freezing January morning, the world's top drivers collect at this remote service station. Just 300 kilometres from Oslo, this is Petter's home rally, and a few die-hard fans are here already. But Recce Day isn't the driver's day. Ignored by the fans and cameras are the co-drivers. The work they do over the next 2 days can mean the difference between winning and losing the rally. Petter's co-driver is Welshman Phil Mills. He's cautious, meticulous, and keeps his head whatever happens. It seems that opposites attract. That's important when you spend so much time together.
Like last year, for instance, 220 days we spent on the road.
Phil Mills, he is my wife in the rally car. No sex. 210
of those days was inside the car together, you know, we're 6 inches apart inside the car. There's a lot going on there. It gets quite stressful sometimes. It's very tiring. So unless we got on, it just wouldn't work. And, you know, some relationships in the past have turned sour.
But taking the pain is usually considered part of the job.
Sometimes you have to understand that if the driver gets upset, whether he's right or wrong, you have to take it. Because the driver should only concentrate on driving in the car. He should not think about anything else.
Liking each other helps too.
We've got the same sense of humour. We like the same things in life. We've got a passion for old cars and all these sort of silly things that make relationships get on, you know. So, yeah, it's a very successful relationship.
On the Recce, each stage may be driven through slowly twice. On the first pass, Phil takes down detailed notes of every section of road, every bump and every obstacle. On the second, he checks them back with Petter. On the rally at full speed, Petter will be driving blind, relying on 100% accurate notes so as not to crash. So when his day ends, Phil's is far from over.
Well, here we got the notes from last year. Our system, very simple. It's a number system, 1 to 6, 1 being a slow corner and 6 being a very fast corner. And if you imagine the numbers as gears, the 5 right plus, which would be a 5th gear right-hand corner accelerating on full throttle, 50 metres to a flat 6 left plus over crest. So that's the fastest corner you'll ever have, absolutely flat out in 6 gear over a left-hand crest.
Phil has about a page of his weird hieroglyphics per kilometre to prepare, and there's over 300 left to go.
This is the side of the sport that nobody sees, I suppose. To be honest with you, I think the actual day of the event is actually the easy bit for the co-driver.
It's 6:30 a.m, and the service park is already humming with activity. Field Marshal Lapworth is doing his rounds. His General Paul Howarth is rallying the troops.
Just remind the strategy. Petter obviously is one of his target events. Yeah. All we've got to do in our area is keep on the case doing our job. That's how good teams work. Any questions for me?
Shakedown is a full throttle dress rehearsal for the main event, which starts tomorrow. A chance for everyone to get up to speed. The drivers to get a feel for the conditions, the engineers to fine-tune the handling of the cars, and the army of mechanics to do what they do best, work fast under pressure. Each car has its own squadron of 8 mechanics. John McLean is the captain of the team working with Petter's car, car number 5. Car number 6 is driven by young Australian Chris Atkinson and is looked after by Simon Baker. Both captains will be hoping for a quiet event. Rebuilding cars when your fingers are about to drop off with frostbite ain't much fun. Days on from Monte Carlo, it's time for David and his team to set the record straight. Time to prove their €600,000 car can be a rally winner. Petter can finally put his foot down, but so can his rivals. Gronholm, Loeb. 118 of the world's top drivers from 24 countries. And they all speak one language. Rally.
6, 7 right, 50. 8 right on crest, continues along, and then 8 left open.
100, oikein eri pyöreä suppu.
7. Even 14, keep left of a long crest, and line into neat 6 right minus half long target 5.
Ja oikein täys.
Keep middle of a jump, 26 right, extra long, target made, opens of a crest 120.
Mun mielestä tää tuntuu paremmalta tää jälkeen.
Back at service, David waits for the verdict from his star driver. The smile says it all.
Stop there then.
It's just like a dream, and I'm not you know.
In an instant, Subaru's season is back on track. But with over 3 hours of shakedown to go, the engineers want more.
We're certainly not too far away now. We're bang on target, and we hope that just a small step will get us to you know where we need to be.
They've got the speed. Now the engineers want their 2 drivers to feel complete confidence in their cars.
Confidence is so important to commit to the very long, fast corners. It is a key to winning the Swedish rallies, high-speed confidence.
With their times improving run by run, both drivers clearly believe in the car.
Both drivers have come back with a smile on their faces and they said, yeah, it feels really good. The main worry now is keeping it on the road and turning their enthusiasm into a win.
Petter's on a high, he loves his car, he loves his job. And the fans, they love Petter. It's official, the Swedish rally has begun. It's party time as thousands of Swedish fans, the media and a global TV audience welcome the home favourites. If all goes to plan, Petter and Phil will be back here on Sunday night to get their mitts on some silverware. But that's a big if. Friday morning, just before sunrise. Spirits are high. Today, the teams will contest the first 6 stages of the rally. The mechanics get 10 minutes to prepare the cars. And there's always a last-minute decision, the tyre choice. Here in Sweden, they use narrow snow tyres with steel studs.
In these conditions, the tyre choice is only really about the length of the stud. And we've got 7mm and 8mm studs.
The studs are designed to bite through the snow and grip the hard ice beneath. In theory, the 8mm studs are better when there's loose snow on the ground and the shorter 7mm for clean, hard ice. According to weather reports, this morning's stages have a mixture of both.
The stages are mixed, and it's almost a toss of the coin. It's more about driver psychology and what gives him the right feeling. And so in both drivers, we've gone for the longer stud, which gives them more confidence.
The top 15 drivers will start the rally in the order they finished at Monte Carlo. So, because he retired there, Petter's had an extra half an hour in bed. This morning's 2 stages are 66 kilometres to the north. Fast stages with some spectacular jumps. The drivers start 2 minutes apart, and first up is Monte Carlo winner Marcus Grönholm. Second in line is world champion Sebastian Loeb. In the control room, the team monitor every car's progress using a GPS system. Petter and Phil get a slight advantage because the team can send them their rivals' times, so they know how hard to push.
Grönholm at 25.7, 25.7. Loeb at 28.5, 28.5. Stoll at 36.9 at 36.9.
Okay, good luck, Petter. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
With a perfect car and a tank full of confidence, Petter engages, makes your mummy tick. And it's paying off. He's matching Grönholm's times as he approaches the big jumps.
5 left, Martin's only 4 over crest. Martin's 4 over crest repeated. 100.
How?
Back. What's happened?
Just pay attention.
Supervision, Phil, we're going slowly, we've got a broken drive shaft.
Okay, Phil. Engineer, broken drive shaft.
Just 6 kilometres in, and David's world has been turned inside out.
Yeah, something happened, didn't it?
A broken drive shaft isn't terminal, but it's very serious.
2 left minus of a crest.
As a 4-wheel drive car, the Impreza has 4 drive shafts, transferring power from the engine to the wheels. Without 1 drive shaft, the car only has 2-wheel drive, losing traction, losing acceleration. And Petter must fight to lose as little time as possible.
130.
I can't believe that this is not right, huh?
Just isn't happening.
This is not fair.
Just isn't happening, is it? We kept it to under a minute anyway.
Without seeing the car, David and his team must now try and work out exactly what has happened and why.
Which end's broken? Front or rear?
Guys, how did it happen? Did you feel anything happen before? Out of a corner? Oh, okay, landing.
Petter now has another stage to complete before returning to the service area.
I think time he gets back here, we're going to have dropped 2 minutes plus, which is...
The team prepare for service. They only get 30 minutes, and they can't just replace the drive shaft, they must diagnose exactly why it failed. Subaru's Director of Engineering, Steve Farrell, is waiting to get a look at the offending part.
This is a drive shaft, and obviously with a 4-wheel drive car that drives all 4 wheels, we have 4 of these, each corner, that basically transmits the engine torque from the transmission, which is out to the wheel, and ultimately to the ground.
2 new drive shafts on the back of the car. You are? Yeah.
There's a cage in here and with 6 balls that do the driving, and it came back without all the internals. The cage had completely exploded inside.
But with the evidence spread halfway across Sweden, it's difficult for Steve to find the cause of the failure.
Clearly, the cage just doesn't explode because it wants to, and we stripped it to try to see if there was anything obviously wrong, but this one really is still a mystery.
But Steve's got to do something.
We can't really send the car back out having had a problem and say we have done absolutely nothing about it.
Steve suspects the problem may lie in the length of the drive shafts, so he's ordered some changes to the geometry of the suspension, designed to allow them more movement. Petter's clock is counting down. With the work still not completed, the pressure's beginning to show.
Vincent, get your ass out here, mate. We've got 5 minutes and you want to know what you want to do. Come and run and talk to me. Okay, quick as you can. Unplug that cord there, Shaq.
Time's up and Petter's back in the car. The next two stages are a repeat of stages 1 and 2, so Petter now faces the same jump that broke his drive shaft. It's bite your nails off time for Steve Farrell. After losing over 3 minutes thanks to his broken drive shaft, Petter Solberg is now on the comeback trail. It's not often that a World Rally champion stalls at the lights. It's another 7 seconds lost.
20, 2 left minus, tightens. 2 left minus, repeated, tightens, 1 tightens. Over crest.
But the good news is a safe passage through Frederiksberg's big jumps. Drive shafts intact. Petter is flying. But he needs his rivals to slip up for him to catch them. Ford's Marcus Gronholm immediately obliges with a schoolboy error. A few seconds lost, but an expert recovery. Meanwhile, Subaru number 2, Chris Atkinson, has had a good morning. He's in 5th place and finds himself in the limelight as Subaru's leading driver, but not for long. It's the same spot as Gronholm, but this time the tree comes off best.
He's broke the steering rack. He's dropped some time in there. He's about 5 seconds a kilometre against everybody else. But he's still got to do the next stage now with no power steering, which is going to be quite tough. It's quite twisty in sections and narrow, so he'll drop a lot more time in there as well.
Cornering becomes tough. Hairpins impossible. Chris loses 3 minutes and drops to 27th place.
We were trying to aim for 5th overall. It was looking like we were going to achieve that quite easily, similar to the pace in Monte Carlo, and just been a big disappointment.
David's reeling from this morning's double whammy. Morale is sinking, and hearing the leader's stage times really isn't helping.
9. Brad Stromberg, 10:40.8.
After a bad start to the Swedish rally, Subaru are preparing for what will be another frantic service.
In all probability, changing the front steering cross member, front drive shaft, steering rack, steering pump, steering cooler, filter.
So about 4 days' work for your high street garage in 30 minutes. But while Subaru's crack team get down to it, David is dealing with an even more serious problem. A few kilometres away, another car is being repaired. Petter and Phil have finished the stage but haven't made it back to service. Petter reported an oil pressure warning from his gearbox, and David made a quick decision to put it into safe mode to avoid a major breakdown. But that switched off the automatic gearbox, so now Petter has to find a gear the hard way, with a screwdriver. And they're against the clock, because if they check in late for service, they'll get a time penalty. They arrive back 13 minutes late and get a 2-minute 10-second penalty. Now David's going to really struggle to keep up his brave face.
He did a great job to do something to get the car going again, and to get here at all. He nearly had to retire on the spot.
Truth is, both Subaru cars are now fighting for survival. Out at the front, Gronholm and Loeb are fighting for the lead, pushing hard. Despite no major mistakes or reliability problems, both Subaru cars are left far down the field and over 5 minutes behind by the end of what has been an extraordinary day.
To finish the first day like this is not what we had in mind. You know, yesterday after the shakedown, we thought that, you know, we had a good chance of being in front.
The boys on the ground, you know, they're working their hardest, doing the job right, but it just is not coming together.
We just seem to have all our bad luck seem to happen in literally a group of stages. They just seem to be one thing after another.
But David must now face facts. He simply can't blame bad luck.
You can talk about bad luck, or you can put it in any way you want. At the end of the day, we've got to come, we've got to be right on the day, and we've got to deliver.
You have to go back and look at where the mistakes were made, whether they were, design issues or quality control issues or, human error or whatever.
All roads lead to Rome, to the basic design of the car.
There's a day and a half to go. Somehow David must keep his team and his cars together and salvage a result from this Swedish nightmare.
-12, varying to -13.
It's hours before dawn, well below freezing, but this Subaru man is already hard at work. Weatherman Richard Card experiences each rally in a very different way to the rest of his teammates.
There's always a variant between air and ground. Once the sun comes up, the air temperature will drop. It will go even colder, it will probably drop to -20.
Overnight, the temperature has dropped by over 10 degrees.
Good morning, Kent.
Morning, Rich.
It's definitely cold here.
Okay, yeah.
Of -17.
Yeah, -17, yeah.
I've got a clear sky, not a cloud in the sky. There's no breeze. I've walked the stage and everything's compact ice. It's absolutely rock solid.
Okay. I'll come back to you in 15 minutes then.
We'll do a photo in about half an hour so we can show them, obviously back in the service park, what the stage is like.
The frozen mechanics wait for David and the engineers to give them their orders.
What you can do in this situation is make sure you get the maximum benefit of what's left. And what we've tried to do is keep the cars going, keep the drivers motivated, and trying to set some fast stage times and so on.
Going for fast stage times is plenty of motivation for Petter. He's rested, rejuvenated, and ready to blow away those blues. It's 8 a.m. and Petter's fans are out in force. After more than 3 hours waiting in the snow, Cardi's job is about to get a lot more exciting.
Yeah, I'm going to try and send you a photo if I can, Ken, over.
With this stage run twice today, the engineers have asked for up-to-the-minute photos of the conditions that the drivers can expect later. And Cardi's taking them, literally.
Starting to rot it is. Yeah, where the line is, it's definitely rotting up.
Yeah, it's cold, huh?
Yeah, it is.
The World Rally Champion will be the driver with the most points at the end of the season. 10 points are awarded for a win, down to 1 point for 8th place. With 16 rallies in the season, a single point could decide the title, so every place Petter can claw back is precious. And the plan seems to be working. He posts the 3rd fastest time for this stage.
It's about time to get a little bit into the rhythm, but not so bad.
Nice. How's the heater working?
They're a bit cold. It's -18 on the road section and they need some more woolly scarves and mittens, I think.
Oikein täys, saattaa vasen eri miinussumppu ja oikea eri ahdas.
2 stages in and no reliability problems for Subaru. But Petter's going to have to up his pace to catch the leaders. So David's thinking about changing his gearbox.
Get a half decent time, Matt, so I think you just get faster and faster if you would.
Yeah, it's the right direction.
Because we'll get the gearbox in and stuff.
But since each car is only allowed 2 per rally, this must be the gearbox that was taken out of the car having failed yesterday. David now makes an extraordinary confession.
The one that's going back in, yeah, it's only a tiny problem with the valve. In fact, with the benefit of hindsight, which is a great thing, we overreacted. We misread some of the information that was coming back, some of the data, overreacted, operated a sort of a fail-safe mode that we didn't need to. If Petter had switched all the fail-safes back off again, and tried again, the gearbox would have worked, more than adequately to drive back down the road section and come in without any penalties.
Petter's original gearbox may have slightly better settings for today's conditions, but David obviously hasn't heard the expression, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just hope he's told Petter.
It's good. Yeah, the car is very good straight away. Very, like it should be, very good.
He was aware of that plan, wasn't he, at the beginning of the day? Yeah. So it's a bit of a risk, but
At €100,000 a pop, the gearbox is the most expensive component of the car. It can change gear in 10 milliseconds. That's 50 times faster than a typical road car. And important when a rally driver changes gear over 1,000 times a day. It also contains the front and centre differentials, and the ones in this gearbox are optimised for the hard ice on today's stages. So with this one back in the car, Petter should be even faster than this morning. And he is. He's back in rally heaven. His blistering pace in the next two stages moves him closer to a point-scoring finish.
Open 80. 6 left plus into 6 right plus.
But on the road section between stages, it's David's worst nightmare. Petter again reports that the pressure in the hydraulic gear system is falling.
Is there definitely no pressure there because sometimes the Q-light fails?
It's the same problem as yesterday. The gearbox really is broken after all. David's gamble for more speed has fallen flat on its face.
Can you do the whole stage in 4th gear?
Like that. Go back to 4th, go down to 3rd as he approaches the stage.
Yeah.
Once he's moving on the stage, stick it up into 4th, and then I would suggest he leaves it.
Petter is told to continue onto the stage, but to stay in 4th gear to avoid a complete gearbox failure. As Petter starts the stage, David and the team watch and hope.
20 seconds. 4 seconds he lost off the start line. He's losing very little now. Yeah. He's actually gaining there.
Petter gets through the stage, but he's lost another 55 seconds. But he's not the only driver having trouble. The Swedish rally is taking its toll. The carnage means Petter's actually moved up to 14th place. Petter seems to have come through the pain and out the other side. But others aren't laughing. Richard Taylor is the team's managing director. Technically David Lapworth's boss, he normally just observes during rallies, but it's reached the point where he feels he has to get involved.
I think from both perspectives it needs to be just made to work, which they can go to Mexico with reasonable degree of belief.
Richard wants the focus back on reliability. With 14 rallies still to go, he needs to restore his star driver's faith in his car and in his team.
Okay.
Easier said than done. Petter's safely through stage 12, but his Swedish nightmare's far from over. On the last stage of the day, a spectator special in front of thousands of his adoring fans, Petter buries his car in a snowbank. One that just happens to contain a concrete post, leaving him limping to the end of the stage.
Petter Solberg has big problems just after 30 meters of this stage.
Humiliation for Petter. And yet more hard work for the team. They've been at it 13 hours already. But now Petter's car needs new front bodywork, a new steering rack, uprights and parts of the suspension. While Chris's team are replacing his gearbox, clutch and differential, that's all on top of a regular service. It may have been one of the worst days of rallying Lapworth's ever seen, but he's still got his loyal troops behind him.
At the moment, we're just going by his command and not questioning it.
Maybe even Rally's great optimist will soon have to admit defeat.
Seems to be one of those weekends.
The snow begins to fall. Tomorrow, Sweden has one more nasty trick for Subaru in store. Nine hours later, and it's straight back to work. Heavy snowfall overnight means this morning's 3 stages will be quite different from yesterday. And Subaru will be hit the worst.
What's it like in the car, the temperature?
No, it's very good.
It's okay?
Yeah.
With the top 15 cars running in reverse order, Petter and Chris will be second and third on the road, ploughing the fresh snow for the cars that follow behind.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No. 6 left, 6 right, 100.
Now it's going to take some real genius for Petter to get into the points. So much snow is being thrown onto the car that Petter can hardly see the road.
I got so much snow on the windscreen so I couldn't see anything from the start there.
The next stage is clearer. Petter is third fastest and gaining fast on the men in front of him.
Well, we were fastest on that split, look. They're both going quite well. You gain a little bit, I think, where it's icy, and we lose a little bit where it's snowy. And overall, it looks very close. But some splits we're faster than Sebastian and Marcus, which is nice to see.
On stage 16, Petter brakes heavily into a corner and stalls the engine.
5 right back.
He recovers quickly.
120.
But the joys of racing on Sweden's snow and ice are wearing thin.
So then snow on the back as well. Yeah. Look at that, eh?
On the front you can't see it, on the back you get extra.
It's like a... Yeah, we don't want it.
The front of the car shows signs of damage, but the real problem is the huge amount of snow and ice that's being thrown up onto the car. It's not just affecting visibility, the sheer weight of it is causing problems with the handling.
I guess they're going to weigh that snow.
But yesterday, the people running first on the road weren't really disadvantaged at all. Today, when it snowed overnight, there is a clear disadvantage.
I mean, last night we weighed Chris's car and there was over 20 kilos of ice on it as it went out, so obviously I think we'll take a few more kilos here. Not the best position to be on the road.
So David's got yet another problem to deal with. Up until now, there's been one consolation for all the unreliability. When working, it's been a very fast car. Being slow as well may be too much for Petter to bear. There's just 3 stages to go. Petter's in 13th place. All he wants now is a fast car for the run to the finish. But it may be too much to ask.
The car is a little bit too difficult to drive.
And is that from the beginning, or is that as the stages go on?
Of course, the car is getting more difficult than because of the only stage.
Yeah. You feel the car's a bit heavy and lazy.
Lots of questions, but David is running out of answers.
They call it character building, don't they? The things that have gone wrong have taken us really by surprise. Yeah, we need to get to the bottom of why. I mean, some of them we still don't understand exactly why they've happened.
And it's not over yet. John McClane can't start the car. The fault is a loose wire at the back of the starter motor, and John gets Petter back out on time by the skin of his teeth. He's pushing hard, but Petter still can't match rally leader Gronholm's pace. Sixth fastest leaves him still in unlucky 13th place.
No.
It's the start of the penultimate stage of the Swedish rally.
Hey, go out, jump on the...
Car's stuck on the start line and the starter button won't work.
It stalled, did it?
Charles to Phil.
Was that the same as the stall on day one?
Can we open the bonnet now?
No. It's absolutely dead. There's nothing on the button at all.
Get Petter to reset the ECU, and can you go under the bonnet and check the small wire is on the back of the starter motor, please?
Negative, we're on the start line.
Okay, just reset the ECUs, give that a try, please.
Try it now.
Nope.
Starter wire. He's pressing it, there's nothing to starter wire.
Try that as well. It's absolutely dead.
Starter wire.
Can they do that? They can get
He
pushed.
gets pushed, he has to get pushed.
I can't believe it, you know, and now it's enough. Have they pushed you off?
Negative.
He's got to get pushed off, that's all he can do, isn't it?
The car pushing it now with the marshals.
When you think it can't get any worse, sometimes it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's moving anyway. He's moving now.
It's cost him 8 minutes, so getting the car pushed off the side of the road and then reconnecting the wire.
Petter finally gets on the move, unaware of the consequences of his start line woes.
There is a obscure rule that if you don't clear the start line within 20 seconds of the start signal being given, you're excluded. It's a very, what's the word, seems a very disproportionate penalty.
With the World Rally jury looking at the evidence, Petter just keeps on going. Having come so far, he's determined to make it to the finish. But it's all in vain.
The outcome is just exclusion, and really it's the icing on the cake of a weekend from hell, really.
It's supposed to be the worst weekend of rallying you've ever had.
Incredible. Incredible.
Gronholm wins the rally for Ford, making it 2 in a row on his birthday. Reigning champ Loeb is second, and Subaru's number 2, Chris Atkinson, finishes 11th. Subaru came to Sweden determined to make up for their false start in Monte Carlo. This was a rally that Petter was expected to win. Instead, David and his team have been put through 7 circles of a frozen hell.
We've probably got collectively 150 years of motorsport experience in the office there, and none of us can remember a weekend like this.
What a weekend.
This weekend has been a real kick up the backside for me. I'm in charge of engineering, and engineering has let the team down.
It will not happen again. It can't happen.
David must now face up to reality, that there's something fundamentally wrong with this year's car. And he knows more than anyone, with so much at stake, his Subaru paymasters simply can't afford to let this go on. This time, a quick fix is not going to be good enough.
We should not accept this situation any longer. So we have a big meeting this time, very serious meeting several times. We have some plan to fix it.
There's still 14 rallies to go. On tarmac, gravel, hot, cold, high and low. Plenty of time to get their season back on track. But back at base, the Subaru team faces a big shake-up. Heads are about to roll.